Hello everybody, welcome back to some Vampyr. Last time we went around and cured everybody after we had slept at the end of the part before that. And we did what conversations we could, and I do believe that now the only thing that we have left is to progress the main plot. So here we go to the Ascalon Club and see what they have to say. And hopefully do something to get our mesmerized level up.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
Alright.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club.
This a dead hunter, looks like. Looks like there's a scuffle in here.
There has been quite a battle here.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, good God.
I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Let's see, can we have more?
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed.
Oh, I saw that. And since I actually bought stuff recently, you know, our money is actually running lower. But I don't know how much there is. Because there's a few things that are supposed to be in here. Ah, here we go. History and purpose of the Ascalon Club. The Ascalon Club is an association of gentlemen secretly aiming for the protection of the Crown's interests. I founded it in 1837 to honor and perpetuate the legacy of my maker, William Marshall, 1st Earl of Pembroke and true protector of England. All the members of this club must be of good extraction and flawless moral fiber. Since the club accepts mortal members who will be duly observed and valued as proper candidates for immortality, the goal of the club is to impose respectable traditions and behaviors amongst the good vampire society, but also to promote and expand the imperial hegemony of England. We are the true elite of British society. We are Ascalon, the holy lance held by St. George's, protector of England. When the saints slew the dragon, as lance bearers ourselves, we vow to defend the empire's interests. Okay. Oh. We've only got 4 more of these things to get, which is interesting. And I mean, once we're allowed into the theater, we should be able to get a few more, because there's a bunch of shit in the theater, but I don't know how many of it goes into there and how many of it's just like regular notes and that. Well, there was that locked door there. And there's a door here, but I imagine this just leads us back outside. Do we have a map in here? Well, it just uses the map, but either way, it's clear that this leads outside, so I'm not going to bother to check that. Other one's locked though, so I'm assuming it goes into a... Well, since we have access to the upstairs, I'm going to assume basement. A good dagger, eh? Strong but small knife. Okay, so 10 blood absorption. It also has... This must be an offhand weapon. Purely for blood absorption, because that seems to be the only thing that it does. So, I mean, that would increase it by 10. So that goes up to 15. So it'd be 25 blood absorption per hit. And my saw does 10. Which, I mean, granted, isn't very much. You know. But at the same time, it also actually does damage. So there's that. But I guess if you were intent on just purely bashing people with your and magic. And I guess if that door's locked, then the other door may also lead to a room up here. It may lead to the same room, for all I know. Anything in these display cases? Oh, a big sword. Okay, so the guy we need to talk to is over there, so let's check this room. Oh, what is that? A key to the Ascalon Club's basement. Okay. But now the question is that, do I investigate the basement before talking to the guy? Because I kind of want to. But at the same time, it could very well be that if I go to the basement first, that I find something that I shouldn't, and I miss out on some story elements. But I am willing to risk it. I don't like that the lock symbol goes away when you have the key for it, until like before you actually unlock it. Because like I'm pretty sure that like any locked door that I've got a key for, I found the key relatively soon after finding the locked door. So it hasn't been much of an issue, but like if I had found a locked door, it took me a while to find the key, I may not remember what door it is. Of the recreational use of blood. As Ascalon members, we always tend to respect etiquette. We are in all ways members of the good society, sometimes recognized as public figures. We do not find our delight in orgies and bloodbath, like our adversaries assert we do. And if one of us were caught in such caricatured and immoral act, he would receive the appropriate opprobrium. I don't know that word. But what about the blood? What about its recreational use? How could we deny the ecstasy the vermilion ambrosia brings us? And with what else could we toast with, as any good fraternity should? To answer this delicate question, the law of conduct inside the club goes as follows. As long as the original mortal vessel is not brought inside our walls, each member is allowed to drink whatever he wants, for his own usage or to share it with the friends. Drink what you want, deal the way you want with the original vessel, but never inside the club, unless I personally authorize it on some special occasion, of course, okay? So you can kill whoever you want, just don't do it in the building. I mean, don't kill people inside the building. I can't really argue against that as a rule, but you would think that if you're really worried about being seen as upstanding members of society, you would make sure to tell them that the people don't die, period, right? But whatever, let's go talk to these peeps, assuming I can go through the door, or curtain, whatever.
Good evening.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Don't forget the other guy I killed too.
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you.
He sounds familiar.
Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yes, she is. I may even say I admire her probity and her kindness. She has helped me since I was reborn.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Well, why me makes sense because, I mean, we're a doctor, we've been fighting them. Why suddenly so friendly? I'm gonna go with why now.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Garda Priwen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End. Is that it?
Straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all Skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
Okay. I guess I have no choice but to join.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
Gotta suck to be this guy over here, right?
Good evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece? Figuratively.
I feel perfectly fine. Do I have cause for concern?
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
Okay, so he's the pillar of this place.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What
Ooh,
is
I
your
don't know
plan?
if I like that wording.
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
But that would segregate the rich from the poor, would it not? It would be unjust.
Our only course of action must be to save England. And to save England, we have to make sacrifices.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.
Let's see, can I talk to anybody else up here? Guess not. And it doesn't look like there's anything to loot, so alright.
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago, well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
You were spying on me.
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod, all muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed, ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
Don't know why they weren't hairy. Which reminds me, I watched a movie yesterday called Werewolf Island. Apparently it's only called that in the States, and the other places it's called the Dog Lady Island, or the Legend of the Island of the Dog Lady, or something to that effect. Or the Dog Face Lady or something, which makes more sense except for the fact that her face isn't really dog-like. But the cover of the movie, right, it shows a house, and it shows a werewolf. Like, if you think of a werewolf, you know, like an actual werewolf, like Underworld, or, you know, whatever, hairy, wolf-like face, everything, that's what was on the picture. In the movie, it's like a weird ghost thing with a slightly fucked up face, not like... I don't know, like if she was wearing like a weird mask, almost kind of like if actually, if you saw Evil Dead, like what their faces look like when they turn, kind of like that, not quite as much of a transformation, but similar to that, like a low grade version of that, and that's what it was. Like it's not a good movie either. It's one of those movies where like if they had had a proper budget, you could actually see it being a good movie, but like because of its low budget. It's only like, it's like slightly interesting, you know?
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Scals in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Scals.
I have met peaceful and wise Scals. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Scals are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club, and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
Oh, there's our mesmerize level. Alright, ask locals about possible sources of infection in the West End. Alright. So we are now officially a member of the Ascalon Club. Our mesmerize level went up to 4, which is great. Do we have a reason to rest? Not really. We only got 2,800 experience, which I don't think is enough to really do a whole lot. Oh, fuck. You know, I'm going to turn around and go back in, because it says that there's a, oh, God. A merchant in here. And, I have a feeling, based on its location, that it's that guy we talked to right at the entrance. But unfortunately, it doesn't give me a name on here. It just says merchant, which is, you know, useless. So I'm thinking that maybe now that I'm a member, I'll be able to buy stuff from him. And since he's a merchant in the
Ascalon.
No, he doesn't. Alright. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It just says merchant on my map here, but it doesn't seem to be. Oh well. Alright. So now that we have level 4, we can now go into the other lady's house. Venus's house. Which means we can complete Charlotte's quest.
I think Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire.
Let's see. We'll talk
Good
to some
evening,
people
Miss
to get some
And good evening to you.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Okay.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Okay, so now it still says to ask locals about possible source, so that leads me to believe that there may be more than one
I'm
that I can
investigating
get.
the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
Oh, alright, so there we go. We got 2 sources of infection, and that's apparently it. So we have one here and one there. And I'm pretty sure when I was looking through my map, I saw boss fight symbols on both of those. But I think we're at a half hour now. You know what? Let's go. We'll go to Venus's house. We'll get in there. We'll talk to her. And we'll grab the couple of things that are in there. And then next part, I guess we'll just have like a series of boss fights. Because actually, to be fair, I don't know that our quest for oh, is this not? Is this the house? Yeah, here's the house. I don't know if our quest for Charlotte does lead to a boss fight or not, but...
Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
The important question is, what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
Why do you and your husband argue so much?
He is not the kind man I married and loved. He is obsessed now. Obsessed with chimeras. I feel trapped. It just makes me want to scream.
Why are you poisoning your husband?
He has spent a fortune printing his bloody papers. I can't stand this nightmare anymore. We are the butt of everyone's jokes since he returned.
If you're so frustrated by Clarence's behavior, why don't you just leave him?
I have already lost the best years of my life because of him. I will not jeopardize my future for some lunatic. He goes, and I inherit what's left.
I was the best man at your wedding. I remember your love for him. It was so beautiful. I cried. And now you've killed him.
Don't try to send a shiver down my spine, Dr. Reed. You were always on your own, and you kept emotions at bay. All for facts, remember? Well, deal with this one.
Did Clarence recently show you documents that prove the existence of vampires?
Yes, he did. And he also told me you spent a few nights gathering research for him. Seriously, Jonathan. Why feed his obsession like that?
He's my friend. I thought it might help him rest, instead of going outside at night. Tell me, what are your thoughts about vampires?
Gibberish and poppycock. Dracula was a good book, but these documents were just mumbo-jumbo. I burnt them all as soon as Clarence went outside again.
Wow. Still have another hand.
Goodbye for now.
At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
Alright. So with that, I think we'll end this part here. And we'll finish ransacking our house next part. I know that there's a couple of things that we need out of here, and we'll finish up Charlotte's quest and do the family portraits one. So thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you. I forgot to change my thing here. And I will see you on Saturday for more.